Oh, I was. I don't know what happened. All right. So, anyways, so we do these things, right? We need to stop being this onlooker, this passive spectator of just coming and seeing it and then letting it go by. We need to look at ways that we can actively grow in our relationship with Christ. We need to find ways that we can bring others to Him. And we're going to talk about somebody that you guys are very familiar with because I talk about him all the time. But he is one of the greatest witnesses for Christ of the age because of what he did and the effort that he put into doing it. But Paul is one of the greatest witnesses for Christ. And we're going to be in Acts, in the book of Acts in the Bible. But to give you a little bit of a background at the end of Acts 21, Paul has upset the Jews in their own temple. Kind of no big surprise here, right? But he upset the Jews in the temple, and so what they do is they go and they form a mob that is set on killing him. Because in their eyes, he is blaspheming. And in their eyes, he is going against everything that is what they believe in. He is cursing it. He's doing everything wrong. He's blaspheming. That's what, in their eyes, that's what he's doing. He's blaspheming the law by preaching Christ crucified and resurrected. Because the Jews at that time did not believe that Jesus was the Son of God, did not believe that he died for our sins and that he was resurrected. They believed that someone stole his body. His disciples stole the body and made it look like he rose again. They did not believe Jesus was the Son of God. Now, through the whole crucifixion, through that ordeal, some did change their mind after seeing what happened. But most of the religious leaders, especially right after that, up here around Paul's time, they still did not believe Jesus was who he was. And so for somebody like Paul coming and saying otherwise, they did not like that. And they were not about to let one person come in and start going against their ideals, because they did that before. They let Jesus go a little bit too far and realizing he amassed a following. That's the big thing about Jesus back in the day. He was this lowly son of a carpenter in Nazarene, and no one liked Nazarene. It's like talking about North End. No one, you guys don't care about that, do you? I'm from South, so that's a big thing. Anyway, so it's talking about Marietta. Is that better? Is that your rival? It's like, who cares, or whatever lowly place. But he's from Nazareth. No one likes those people. And so they didn't take him seriously. But what happened was, over his ministry, he was preaching. He was spreading these words. And the religious leaders caught wind that he's kind of going against their beliefs. But they let it go. Because they're like, he'll fizzle out in no time. They see it all the time. People coming and prophesying and teaching. And then they never last. But what was happening that was different this time was Jesus was amassing followers. Everywhere he went, he was getting people to go to him. And so this movement was getting bigger. And of course, the religious leaders and even the Roman government were getting concerned. Okay, well, these people are going to kind of get up and rebel, right? This massive following is going to happen, and you gotta handle the Roman. Pilate was the governor over the area, and he was trying to get the religious leader Caiaphas to quiet this movement because Rome is the acting government at the time. They're allowing this Jewish religion to kind of be this entity and stuff like that, but they can't control their people, and it's a very big, messy thing happening, political and all that stuff like that. So the religious leaders already know about letting one man kind of let it go for so long and building his following. They did not want Paul being the same thing, going about town to town, village to village, city to city, preaching, in their eyes, blasphemy to people and getting them to turn away from what they believe is right to following Paul and amassing another following and so on and so on. They just not want another repeat. And so you can imagine that they are going to nip it in the bud if they can. And so what happened was, and here's the thing about Paul. Paul was not careful, especially after his conversion. He didn't care about his safety. He didn't care about any of that. He just walked right in. He was in their temple talking about Jesus. That's like you going to Marietta High School talking up Warren football, or Warren, you don't go into enemy territory and start talking against what they believe, right? Paul didn't care. Because when his conversion happened, and we're going to see that, when his conversion happened, he was on fire for God. And so you see that he goes to the temple and they're mad, right? This mob is forming. They're trying to go kill him because in their eyes he's blaspheming the law by preaching Christ crucified and resurrected. They are seeking to do Paul just as they did to Christians, or just as he did to Christians before his conversion. That's what Paul did. He wanted to punish. He wanted to execute. He wanted to throw in jail. He wanted to just persecute Christians for doing exactly what he was doing. So these Jewish leaders are wanting to do what Paul would have done before his conversion. A Roman commander and several soldiers intervene, arrest him, and place him in chains. So the government steps in, arrests him before this angry mob can kill him. And they place him in chains, but before he's led away, the commander gives Paul a chance to speak to the angry mob, and Paul details them his conversion. So he shares his testimony, shares his story to them, in hopes that they understand, in hopes that his words will influence them in a positive way. Plant that little mustard seed of faith. And so that's kind of where we're at the end. And so we're going to go into 22 there, starting in verse 6. This is him telling this angry mob his conversion story, his testimony, his story. As I was on the road approaching Damascus about noon, a very bright light from heaven suddenly shone down around me. I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Who are you, Lord? I asked. And the voice replied, I am Jesus the Nazarene, the one you are persecuting. The people with me saw the light, but didn't understand the voice speaking to me. I asked, what should I do, Lord? And the Lord told me, get up and go into Damascus, and there you will be told everything you need to do. I was blinded by the intense light and had to be led by the hand to Damascus by my companions. A man named Ananias lived there. He was a godly man, deeply devoted to the law, and well regarded by all the Jews of Damascus. He came and stood beside me and said, Brother Saul, regain your sight. In that very moment, I could see him. Then he told me, the God of your ancestors has chosen you to know his will and to see the righteous one and hear him speak. For you are to be his witness, telling everyone what you have seen and heard. What are you waiting for? Get up and be baptized. Have your sins washed away by calling on the name of the Lord. You are to be his witness, not an onlooker. Not to just, okay, good job, stand off the side and watch this happen. No. You are to be his witness. Get up. Go. Tell. All these are action words, right? Not sit, stay, watch. Go. Be a part. Be a witness. And the thing about that is, guys, is that Paul had a story to tell. We all have a story to tell. It's Jesus' story. It's about his death, his resurrection, and about his salvation that he's given us freely. And along in that, to be a good witness, we can share our own personal thing about how that affected us. When you heard that for the first time, how did you deal with it? How did you affect it? How did all this take place and whatnot? So you have this story, you have this thing that you can share on top of sharing this gospel, the good news. Because just like Paul, we are called to be witnesses, not onlookers, not to stand on the sidelines, not to be passive spectators. And that's easy to do, guys. It's very easy to do. Whether or not because you don't know what you need to do, or because you just would choose to rather just come, observe, and go home. Whatever the reasoning, there's a multitude of people, I'm sure, that do that. But we need to be witnesses. We need to be active. We need to be actively pursuing that. not just an onlooker, not just somebody on the sidelines watching it happen. Let's get in the game. Let's make something happen. Let's affect the outcome of this world and our community. Paul did, and look, imagine that. Paul would not be this profound person who wrote half the New Testament, who wrote these letters, who started churches, who kept them running. He would not be this dynamite person, spiritual leader in our life, if he didn't answer that call to become a witness. If he just became an onlooker, said, "Oh, thank you, Jesus, for stopping me, blinding me on the road to Damascus, so that I can know that you're real and be safe. Thank you. I'm going to go sit down and watch it go by now." No. He understood his calling because Jesus told him to go there, look for Ananias, and you'll be told what to do. And what God spoke through Ananias to tell him to do was to go be a witness. Go testify, all right? What that dictionary said, go give evidence. Specifically, one who testifies in a cause. This is what he does. This is what he can do. This is what God called him to do. And this is what he's calling us to do, to go be a witness, not an onlooker. Witnesses not only to the work he has done in our lives, but witnesses to the truth he outlined in his word for us. We got to be vocal. We got to be vocal. We got to be, I don't know what word it is, actionable. Something to do with the actions. So it's not just your voice. But we got to be something, we got to take part in it. We can't be onlookers anymore because being a passive spectator doesn't get you anywhere in life. Being a passive spectator isn't really going to get you a lot of crowns in heaven. We are called to be witnesses. We are called to go out into the world to deliver this truth. And trust me, I know it's a lot easier to be an onlooker. It's a lot easier just to come, watch, go home. A lot easier to do that. I know. Trust me. It's a lot easier. But being on the sidelines is not where we're meant to be. It's not where we're supposed to be. We lost that option way back in the day when Adam and Eve decided to sin. Because then we could have just relaxed. We've all been in the garden right now, eating what we want, playing with the animals, playing with the lion, living a carefree life. But no, we can't be on the sidelines anymore. We have to be on the field. We have to be in the battlefield now. And we have to be witnesses. Because there are so many people out there who don't know the truth, who are struggling to find something in their life to hope for. They don't know what it is. They're probably not even aware that they're looking for something. But everybody in this world is looking for something greater than themselves. Seriously. Some people are more, it's evident, you can tell. Some people you don't think at all. But everybody on this earth is looking for something greater in their life. They just don't know that they are. They don't think that they are. Or there are a lot of people who do, and they think what it is this or that. That's why it doesn't matter, not a lot of people become, a Christian or come to this faith, but they go for something else. And it's because they're looking for something greater. Even an atheist is looking for something greater in their life. It's what's so funny about people that are atheists and want to shut down churches and shut down things they do. Because really what happens when they start forming together, they become the very thing they're trying to shut down. And that's a belief, a set of way of thinking and whatnot. And there are people out today that are trying to shut down the active role Christians are in this community. And the way that they're doing it is the same way as we are trying to do to get in. They think they're sneaky, but by them doing that, they're being the very thing they want to shut down, a religion, a belief. It's crazy, isn't it? You just want to take them like you realize what you're doing, right? You're becoming the very thing you don't want. Even though you're believing something different, you're becoming the very same thing you want to shut down. It's very easy to just be an onlooker, guys, but we can't. We can't. It's going to take every single one of us who has known Christ, who's accepted him in his life, to go out there and be a witness. It takes us all. And it takes us being unified. And guys, I can't stress this enough. You cannot bicker among each other. You cannot attack one another. You cannot put down one another. You can't. We can't afford that. You don't. It doesn't seem like it because you guys are very blessed. You guys have a very great life. But in the long-term goal, the looking at it as far as his kingdom, which is hard for us to fathom, that does not fly. We have to build each other up. We have to encourage. We have to help one another. We can't put each other down. We can't ignore each other. We can't ignore the pain. Oh, I don't want to deal with that right now. Oh, man. I can't deal with that problem. I'm just, I'm just going to avoid that. We can't do that, guys, because we can't afford to do that. In the war that's waging out there, we cannot afford to let any one of us suffer. Not when we can help it. We can't be onlookers and watch other Christians in pain. We definitely can't be the one who causes that pain. That's just not even right. So let's stop being onlookers. And what does that look like? That looks like that you're not just coming here this morning because your parents dragged you here. You're not just coming, observing, and going home. You're going to come, you're going to observe, you're going to let these words soak in. You're going to think about it. You're going to say, okay, what's this going to do for me? Let it work in me. Then when you go home, you're going to see how you can continue to think about God. You're going to think about your relationship. You're going to think about the things that you do, the things you don't do. And you're going to see in God's eyes, is that right? Am I doing things right? How can I be better? This is what it's about, guys, is being active and doing that. It's being intentional. Not just waiting for the next service to come about. We are the only student ministry in our area who has 3 services a week. I have other youth pastors telling me that I'm crazy because I produce 3 services a week when they only do like 1. And they get a lot of good turnout and they focus it all on that one. That's great. And I've looked at that and I realized, man, that would be nice. Ooh, I can take a little bit of a breather and just playing 1 service. And, oh, man, that'd be great. But as I looked Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, I can't get rid of any of them. They're too valuable. Because that's as many opportunities as I can for you guys to be here, to come, to grow, to strengthen. Otherwise, it would literally be, for some of you, you come 1 time a week, and you don't think about it again. You don't think about God. You don't think about any of it until a whole another week. At least this way, I get you Sunday, and you have a few hours before Sunday night. Then I remind you again. And then you only have 2 days before Wednesday, and then I remind you again. And you got 3 days before you got Sunday again, and I remind you. See, I feel that is crucial because we need as many opportunities as we can to grow. So I encourage you guys, I challenge you guys to not be onlookers, but to be a witness for Christ that you were called to do, just like Paul was. To be active, to speak the truths of Jesus and his resurrection and his salvation, and what that means for you in your life. And how being part of a youth group, being part of a church, is supposed to be good. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be inviting. When there's tension, when there's arguing, when there's destruction happening, that's not very inviting. People find out about that and like, well, I don't want to go there. We need to encourage. And it doesn't matter if you fall victim to that, if you're on the other end of it, you still show love to those that hate you. You still show love to your enemies. You still show generosity and kindness to those that put you down. Because it does not, there's no good in retaliation. There's no good in retribution for those that cause problems. And I'm telling you guys, that you have to have the right mindset and the right heart set. It doesn't matter, because we need to be building each other up. We need to be witnesses for Christ. And being a witness for Christ means you're being Christ-like in all attributes that is Him. And if you don't know what Christ is like reading, open a Bible, get a devotional, find out who Jesus is, because to know Him inside and out as best as you can is going to better help you be more like Him. You're going to be able to know what it means to be a kindness and to be generous and to be loving and caring, even to those who spit in your face. And it doesn't make you holier than thou. It doesn't make you more righteous than them. It doesn't make you better than them. All it does is say, hey, there's a person in need. I need to help them. That's all. It doesn't matter what they did to you. It doesn't matter how they hurt you. You realize that person's in need. Because we are all looking for something greater to believe in, greater in our life, something that transcends us. Let's get people to find out that that's God. Father God, I thank you so much for this morning, Lord. I thank you for who you are. And I thank you for these students, God. I thank you for their heart and their passion.